years since I can remember. I've done a variety of things. I started out writing Mac software, and then I switched to cell phones for Motorola, and then Samsung, and then I worked on a set-top box, and then I did Windows anti-malware software, and now I use C++ to write web services, which is the most common language for web service development.
For web service development?
Yeah.
All right.
Sarcasm. So I've done a variety of things, but you know, just looking to see. You know, I've got some ideas for stuff I'd like to do.
Okay.
I need web backend stuff for mobile apps and stuff, and I'm just looking for ideas.
I like it. Okay, tell us, what do you do?
So my name is Eduardo, I'm a software developer. I'm normally developing Ruby on Rails, JavaScript, and iOS, and that kind of stuff. I've been doing this for 15 years. I actually thought it would be good to listen more about advanced JavaScript because I saw some previous meetups.
It normally is. It normally is. This is
I think, yeah, I think from the beginning it's fine.
Okay.
Max Aristotle, I'm a consultant. I've been developing for about 3 years now. Didn't know it was a beginners meetup, but I like to meet people and talk and learn from the community. Originally from West Palm, just recently moved back, so I'm trying to get back in it.
Okay, so just to clarify, BocaJS is not a juniors meetup group. It's just that I'm trying something new. Normally it's just a JavaScript meetup group, and what I felt was I made a presentation which went over a lot of people's heads. I was like, do we want to separate it? So that's all I'm trying to do. So this is why it's an unusual, normally it's beginning of the month and the next one will be March 1st, 6th. Tell us a little.
So my name is Ty Holland. I'm an electrical engineer for nanotechnology. I work at Magic Leap, doing mostly hardware engineering type stuff.
Nice.
But I program basically for fun, and because it's a necessity. A lot of stuff just requires you to program. I'd like to get involved with some startup stuff. So for this particular thing, I'm looking for what I should be looking for as an employer in programmers. But as a beginner, I feel like since I'm a hobbyist, I have a lot of gaps in my knowledge. So starting from the basics and going up, even though there might be a lot of overlap with stuff I already know, I'm sure there's stuff I missed and I'm just completely stupid on it. So I like to have that good foundation kind of thing.
Nice.
I'm Jeff Holland. I've been a developer for about 7 years and just came to check out the event.
Yay. Awesome.
I'm Darlene. He's making me do this. I'm his wife.
You shouldn't complain. Last time Harley won the raffle ticket that we had.
Yes, I still have to use that gift card. I just started a boot camp program at coding boot camp. So I am new to this. My background is in education, and I just need to learn as much as I can and infuse myself in the culture as much as possible. Okay. So I can see, where that leads, because I think starting July, hopefully, I'm going to be starting looking for jobs. So just trying to just get as much as I can.
Okay, perfect. We start over there.
I'm James. I'm a student at TJ2. I'm studying web development. I want to be a full-stack web developer, so front-end, back-end technologies. So far, I've learned Java, JavaScript, HTML, CSS. Right now, I'm learning some back-end, JSP servlets. I'm gonna learn Hibernate Spring soon. And my end goal is just to get a job and get my first developer. Okay. No user experience, yeah. Absolutely. So.
Absolutely.
0.2 years of experience.
There you go. I like that. I like that.
Yeah. My name's Arthur. Actually, I'm also a student here.
Okay.
Pretty much what he said. Yeah, and I don't know. On top of that, I just really love learning, like literally as much as possible. And something that's really interesting that that my brother-in-law, he's also a computer programmer, owns his own business. And he always says, once you become a black belt, that's when you start learning.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So that's something that I find really interesting. So it's honestly like an honor to be in front of people that have been doing this for like 10+ years and stuff like that. That's really cool.
All right. Wow. Why don't we continue with the chair before? Oh,
My name's Aaron. This is actually the first meetup I've ever been to. Never
Ever?
been to one before. So
For the group or ever?
ever.
Love
It's the first meetup I've ever
Good
been to.
choice
So.
on meetups.
I work for Nova Southeastern University. I work in IT, but I'm also a student there. I graduate in May. I'm taking computer science. So I'm just looking for projects, things to add to my resume. So I go job hunting soon.
Excellent. All right.
Thank you.
My name's Terry. I'm currently working in the .NET stack. I've been programming one way or another for about 45 years. I'm kind of retired now, but I
Lucky man.
still support a few of the clients I've had for 20 or more years, and I just never really done an awful lot of web development other than just back-end crunch stuff. And excited about the industry, and now that I have lots of time to play, I really want to learn JavaScript on the ground floor. So
All right.
I'm open to anything you want to share.
I like it. Thank you.
Yeah, my name's Mike DeBella. I've been a Java programmer for the last 15 years. I like to make the jump over to JavaScript and just learn about, what the best libraries, learn what the best frameworks, what's the most cutting edge, what do employers want, what should I be studying.
Okay. Sounds good.
My name is Jeff. I'm a web designer, and I'd like to eventually try to transition into more of a development role. I've been trying to learn JavaScript for maybe like a few months on my own now, so this year to learn as much as I can because I'm still really new to everything.
Okay.
My name is Chris. I work for HCA. I do both front-end and back-end development, but I'm but I'm looking to I guess formalize the front-end a little bit more because that's something they just pick up as need be, and something you have to go back and figure out what makes sense about the JavaScript and stuff. So.
All right. All right. We'll go in the back.
I'm Mark, and I wrote my first computer program 50 years ago.
Wow.
On a machine that was so small that it didn't have a compiler. So I started writing in machine language and in binary when I was in really the mood. I eventually became a physical biochemist. I'm now retired, but in the course of my career, I have done an awful lot of modeling of all sorts of systems and all sorts of languages, and it just looked to me like JavaScript was an interesting way of evolving and kind of going from that feeling I had always had that I was computer literate to suddenly discovering that I was completely illiterate. And it was an uncomfortable feeling, so I said, okay, I better learn the modern languages.
All right.
So here I am.
Okay. So we go.
John, I'm an IBMI series developer, and I just found that the title of this meetup was very interesting and decided to attend.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm Casey. I moved here a couple months ago, actually for my first job as a developer out of a boot camp. And finally kind of settled in and kind of trying to get involved in the local community. Orlando has a really big community, so I was kind of happy to see these things popping up.
Yeah. So let me talk a little bit about when we finish off here. I haven't seen you before. Come on, tell us.
My name's Brandon. I've been going to a few meetups. This is like my fourth meetup for about the last year or so while working. I've been just studying web development in my full time. I've been still studying web development in my free time, and I'm currently looking for a job. I'm usually just learning, building, putting projects on my website, and just trying to get that job.
All right. See if we can help with that. Before we get to that, why don't you guys talk about this place?
First of all, thank you everybody for coming. As we were your hosts this evening, TK2, we're a coding boot camp. So if anybody is interested in learning more, you can always kind of see us and see what we offer. I'm the director of hiring partners, so I know you mentioned you were looking for a job. That's basically what I do here is do career replacement assistance, so help the students out as far as taking that first step into their tech careers. And we did a lot of research as far as our curriculum, so, and I know Damian here has some numbers to kind of show as far as what employers are looking for, and just hope everybody enjoys this, and hope to see you for some future events.
All right, guys. My name is Chris Kapelka. How's everybody doing? Thank you for attending. I'm the campus president. I want to welcome you guys here. Just to piggyback off what Gonzo was kind of saying, we started off April 2017 is when we actually launched our school here in Boca. We knew that there was a need for it. We have a really good feeling that Boca is going to be the next tech hub. Mine is pretty saturated right now, so the only direction to go is up, right? So that's where we kind of fall into place. We wanted to cater to the Boca community with being able to attend West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale too, so everybody doesn't have to drive down to Miami anymore. We can build it ourselves in Boca. Our program, just a little information about us and kind of what we do. We do teach a full stack program. Our main primary programming language is Java. Our program is a 19-week program, so a little bit less than 5 months you guys are going to be graduating here and looking to kind of transition over to Gonzo as far as the employment assistance. We offer flexible scheduling too. Our programs are morning, afternoon, and evening time, 4 hours a day, 4 days a week. Our tuition, we're more on the lower end when it comes to a lot of the coding schools out there. We're $10,000. Everything's included for our tuition here. So if you guys have any questions or anything like that, feel free to either see myself or Gonzo will be more than happy to answer some of your questions. Anybody have any quick questions before I kind of turn the baton over to Damian here? No? Okay. All right, guys.
So if you do want information, there's those little thumb drives and little cards.
Thumb drives. We're also hosting an event here this weekend, which is going to be Saturday from 10 to 12. It's called Java and Donuts. So you guys are all more than welcome to attend. It's a free event. Get a little bit more information on Java and a little bit more information on what we do here too.
What's the time on that?
10 to 2.
10 to 2 this Saturday?
Yes.
At this location.
And feel free to bring whoever you like.
We're sponsored also by Italians. They're not here right now, but you'll see us in the other events. We normally meet on the first Tuesday of the month. I'll just go over it again. And they're normally here. That's a recruiting firm. If you're looking for jobs, they'll help you with that. Sandine Space is normally where we meet on the other side of the road, on the other side of Glades. So just catty corner to this. I always said kitty corner always, and I thought that was what the saying was, and until someone corrected me. I prefer kitty corner. Oh, so kitty corner over there. From this location will be that's the case. If you guys were here for the Code Stream presentation, they actually went live. If you guys don't know what that is, that's a combination of an IDE, a program you use to edit, and Git, and Slack, and ways you can chat, all combined into one. You guys can look into it if you're interested. I'll explain who I am and everything, so if you guys don't realize I am the organizer of BocaJS, but let's talk a little bit about what you guys can see next or after this event. You guys will definitely, you're already here, but in the future, this weekend, if you don't go to the Java and Donuts, you're welcome to the Palm Beach Tech Hackathon, which happens on Saturday and Sunday. Top prize is $2,500. If you're and then next to go to a regular cadence or regular schedule is the first Tuesday of the month. There's going to be something that's as he puts it, functional programming, as in functional with JavaScript, of course, for advanced beginners. So if you're just a little bit more advanced, just come on over. We'll definitely be able to talk about different things, and we'll talk about functional programming, which is just taking over JavaScript. Any questions about those things? All right. Just found out about this on the 13th of March. There's a career day, so if you guys follow x.co, as in the domain name, x.co/career day. Did I spell career day? I spelled career wrong there. Okay, well, just like hair. Yeah.
Are you posting this?
I will. It actually is right now on the meetup.com/BocaJS. So, I don't have it here. Meetup.com/BocaJS. You'll see more information about, at the very bottom of this event is this slide, and you can look at all the information. But I'll put it in the comments. And I didn't email it this morning. Anybody see my email this morning about that was okay? Well, no. I mean, the meetup should have been a lot of emails come to you. I never want to spam you guys. I never want to bother you guys. So if you guys are being sent something, usually it's a sort of a reminder like this one. Hey, I moved to this place just for now. So, you know, just check out for the junior event. We're going to be here. So the recruiters don't stop. All right. So this is me. This is me at the Node event that happened with Kyle Simpson. If you know who that is, you can go. Ooh, I was one of the speakers as well at that event. I've been doing this for 19 years. There's 100 interviews I've been to, obviously throughout those 19 years, and half of them were like this month because I just switched from companies. So I'm trying something new. So like I talked to some of you guys who were here early. I've organized BocaJS. Sometimes I feel the events are too easy. Sometimes they're too hard for you to get a hold of. Maybe I get a lot of blank stares, and you know, whenever I ask a question and it's something and I'm getting a blank stare, either everybody totally got it and they're like, I don't got any questions, or nobody got it and it's gone over what we said. So I never know. For this event, please go to meetup.com/BocaJS. Right-hand corner is my name. Click on it and leave me some feedback. Tell me if you want this junior event that happens. It's going to happen every third Tuesday of the month, as opposed to the event we've been having for the last 4 years, which happens on the first Tuesday of the month. Should we split it? Should we have an advanced and junior? Should we not, so that you see all the people that you see every single month in the same place? Give me some feedback. You know, do you like this place? Do you like the other place? Is it hard to hear me here? Is it easy to hear me there? Whatever the case, do me a favor. You can reach out to me on Twitter. My full name is, twitter.com/my full name, Damian Montero, or things like that. So get to it, guys. You know, whenever, remember that. Whoa! Intro, right? So tell you guys what we're going to be doing. We're going to talk about languages. I didn't really know what I wanted to present here, so I had some great feedback from you guys as what is it that that you guys are looking for. But when it comes to what people are looking for, I wanted to attack it and show you the languages that the people are looking for as far as jobs out there. What are the different type of a job you can have? I mean, this may be a little bit too basic. Maybe you already know about it, but maybe there's something we can talk a little bit about it. How you can learn more about it, of course, one of them being the boot camp, and of course, how to keep learning, and some interview ideas. And there's where we have ideas. I tend to speak a lot. Sometimes you have to stop me, raise your hand, don't bother, just talk. I want your opinion with these guys. Otherwise I'm going to be done with this slides in about 15 minutes. There's a lot of feedback I think that you guys can give me. You guys can ask questions. You guys can let me know what you think of the opinion. Feel free always. And this is, I'm senior enough in the programming to do this, to tell me I'm wrong. But you got to tell me why. And you got to stand by it, and there's no problems with that. Or just tell me what you think about it. So definitely let me know. So what I thought would be a good idea, again, there's water and coffee here. You don't have to lift your hand, just come and get it over here. Would be, you guys might be interested in what the best language to learn. Now this is a JavaScript group, but it was supposed to be a sort of like, I didn't want to hide it. It's the number one thing isn't JavaScript, even though it should be. You'll see why. Exactly. You guys know what the number one programming language is? Any guesses? Python. That's what people keep on telling me. Java. Okay. You think Java as well? We got 2 Javas, 1 Python. C#. Yeah. Well, you know, I'll talk a little bit about that. What do you guys think? C++, like this gentleman talks of? What? C++, you know? I mean, it used to be the number one, right? Back in 1969, there weren't any other languages. No, that's not true. But that was when it was invented. C was. All right, so here's the answer. And I want to say something about it. I started researching this, and don't decide anything based on these numbers. Because as you can see, SQL was the number one. It'll be the number one in all of them. And we'll go into what that is. Anybody not know what SQL is? SQL is what I have written up there. And some people pronounce SQL. We used to call it SQL. Okay. SQL, Java, Python. You're right there at the top. JavaScript, C++, C#. Well, that's the truth, right? Till you go to the next website. And Python's at the top. Wasn't Python number 4 last time, right? Then JavaScript's at the bottom. What? Everybody uses JavaScript, right? What's going on? Went to another website. Okay, now it's Java. SQL's not even in there. It's down here. All right. Here's the truth, guys. It only matters based upon the location around it, and it's a flow. Right now, yes, Objective-C and Swift are the only language, well, not the only language, but the number one thing for you to do on your iPhone. Java is one of the most important languages for doing things on Android, all of the other ones. But, you know, they change and flow goes in and out. And more importantly, it sometimes matters based upon the location. So before I tell you that this was my quick analysis on Indeed.com, one of many websites you can find jobs, I want to tell you about the picture. This is my daughter's best friend. Holding her is her dad, my daughter's best friend's dad. This, although you can't see it, is an 8-foot alligator. This was sitting in their pool. So if you can, don't have a house in Boca, because this guy's coming after you and all that. They were so excited. He's been on at least 20 or 30 different TV shows. He thought it was the best thing in the world. His daughter couldn't stop talking about it. They had a great time with my daughter, chatting all about it, and it's awesome. But this is what I pictured is with Florida. Here's what I found. If I looked up SQL, and this is, I'll first give you the numbers. There was over 1,000 jobs that had the word SQL in it. This is the key. Over 466 jobs that had the word Java. What I noticed is JavaScript, Java, well, they start the same. And yes, a couple of them would literally put Java space script. Thanks, Word, for, you know, auto-correcting it. So if I took out the word script, it had 429, still at the top. JavaScript was at the top. And the thing about JavaScript is that it may not necessarily be the back-end server software, but it's definitely going to be the front-end server software. So we'll talk a little bit about that. C#, and this is what I've been making, and you as well, my living for the last 19 years. So I've never had a problem with C#. Now, obviously, I'm throwing away jobs. So that's an important factor to remember. I do make my money out of this, and it is clearly the last one of the top four ones. And all that. And in here, only because it's Florida, and only because of the 50-mile radius, Python was in there. This is supposed to be the #1 web PHP. I'll have these slides. You can look at it on the Meetup.com page if you can't see it in there. I should have asked if everybody can see it in the back. But I'll talk a little bit about it. If I look for Android, there was 203, but I don't know if they meant like jobs for salespeople and they're going to hand you an Android and they would pop up. This is the problem with this. I'm going to give you guys a good idea that most of the server full stack, like this gentleman here, jobs will require a back-end language. That could be one of many things. It will require sometimes, if there's web, a front-end language or our understanding of JavaScript. That's the only front-end language there is. And database. And that's where this comes up. I don't know if this is a good time. Did I put this slide? Okay. What I wanted to let you guys know, and then I wanted to ask the new developers here, and I was talking to someone who had been a new developer and she was working for the last 6 months and as a junior developer, and I got a lot of the content I wanted to present to you guys and a lot of the questions she had and comments she had from that. And I want your feedback with that. What she felt was that when she finished, and she did do a boot camp? Well, she did, I think, her own personal training, is that a lot of people would learn what SQL is. It's a database language, okay? So we're dealing with databases and things like that. Okay, what is Java? Well, one of many things, but it's in the web world, it's considered a back-end language, right? It can do front-end with the mobile, let's say just keep it as the back-end language. And the front-end, what the browser really only deals with, the only language the browser knows, is JavaScript. And that she realized late that she knew that those things were. She had been taught all those three things, but she had never done anything to put it together. So any of junior guys, people that just finished, are in the middle of it, do you feel that that was true, what she said? You give us your opinions on? Do you feel that there was a lack of like really saying, fine, but let's put it together?
They've always just taught you one thing at a time.
Right.
Put it together.
Okay, so that's something you guys have to be aware of and all that. So even so, if you have one or the other, it's unusual. And we'll talk a little bit about that. There are front-end jobs, there are back-end jobs, and sometimes there's that marriage of all of them. And if the marriage of all of them is to understand more than just there is a database, but how is it related to what you're doing about that? And the answer that we came up with, our friend, was to make sure you understand how all three are married together is think of a project in your mind. Well, she was suggesting this. Go to your uncle, your nephew, and make a website for them for free, right? So that you can showcase that you can do a website. You can do a little bit of back end, some basic things. When the client fills in the form, you can get information about it. So that's something your advice to know. Another thing I'm thinking about is think of something you like. You like Snapchat. You like Twitter. You like eBay. These are showing my age. I'm stuck with Snapchat. I have to add it in the beginning because of that. Think of that and recreate it. And know full well that no one's gonna. You're not gonna make $1 million. You're not gonna make. You're not gonna go and buy Snapchat2.com or publish an app on the App Store called Snapchat 2 and make the money. You're thinking about what it is that your product is because you know it. You know it because you're using it. Recreate it. That will prove a lot of things that you might not have realized you didn't know by struggling that way. Okay? Just think about that. So so this is all, and so programmers, there are more jobs in SQL, so employers are looking for that. They're looking for people that know or understand SQL. I feel that their understanding of SQL are not for database jobs. It's not that they're more database administrator jobs than anything else. It's that people need to know database and probably just a little bit or understanding of it to do web. They need to know databases to make that desktop application. They need to know databases to understand how you access it on your phone because you're going to be a phone developer like this gentleman over here, right? So that's just something you should be aware of.
How many of the SQL jobs would be there if you omitted all of the others? Great question, great question. And I think it'll be a tiny percentage. I think that they're mixed in. And that's the problem that I wanted to do a research. And I felt that even with my numbers, when I started looking around to what you would think would be people that had, deep down database access to the real, Monster.com and really be able to parse and do exactly that. How many are SQL but not JavaScript? How many SQL but not Java and JavaScript and anything backend? I think usually if you're looking for a database, they're going to be saying it's not going to be SQL. SQL's too generic. They're going to be looking for Oracle, or they're going to be looking for something that really specifies they're looking for a database person as opposed to a developer who's worked with databases.
Right.
I do see a lot of jobs that are focusing on more reporting side of things as far as actually developing applications. So you can see job literally looking for just SQL and kind of SSRS or Oracle, like you mentioned, but it's just focusing on just cleaning up reports and just producing units. So that is a part that I've seen.
Excellent. I think
each of these programs, other than JavaScript, have their own specific purpose. You wouldn't interchange Python, for example, with PHP.
Okay.
Python does, I think, have some server capabilities, but Ruby, for example, is fabulous for statistics. Right? If you're a probability guy, that's your language.
Okay.
I've used a lot of these languages because somebody gave me a problem, and that was the most efficient way to address it.
Okay.
I had to learn Python. I had been using Octave, which is a kind of a free version of MATLAB, and mathematics is kind of my native tongue. I had to learn how to computer. Python, but Octave had fabulous matrix processing capabilities, but it didn't have the language processing capabilities that I could get with.
Okay.
When we were just talking about the problems that we had doing linguistic analysis on them, there's a program out there called Beautiful Soup. Beautiful Soup is designed for natural language programming. It can give you what are called co-location. How many times does SQL occur in the same corpus of text that Java does? And it does all that stuff in about 2 lines of code. Okay. So each of these seems to me these are all languages that have their own specific purpose. And that was what C# was just Microsoft's way of screwing with those of us who learned C++, and they wanted to put their own brand on it, and so they made a couple of minor changes. But I think for a reasonably experienced C++ programmer, move over to C# is just kind of minor inconveniences about where do you use semicolons and how do you get that sort of frivolity of syntax.
Okay.
So I guess what I'm trying to get at is what is this saying about the jobs that are here? Are they, web development? You talk about web development. You talk about CS, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, maybe PHP is a way of communicating to the back end. And then somehow you're reading whatever has been built on the back end. You're passing a file through PHP to your front end. I guess that's kind of what we're getting at here. I see a lot of
interesting. Okay.
To me, it's essentially a flat versus a structured database. That's a fairly complicated discussion, but it depends on again what you're trying to do. If you're working with lists, flat, something like JSON is terrific. If you're looking at structured data, you've got to use a structured database like SQL or some other.
A relational thing.
Yeah,
okay.
Relational database.
I don't necessarily agree with your main tenant in that concept of one language per function. So
No, you got to pick one language and use it for a bunch of problems because you don't have. You're right. You don't have the option of writing this piece of it in Java and this piece of it in Python.
Yes. So you got to.
Yeah.
Yep. You could most definitely do that. I don't believe that there's one language for one problem, and the reason why that is because JavaScript. I use JavaScript on the front end. I use JavaScript on the back end. I use JavaScript on my IoT device. I use JavaScript to create the CodeCamp mobile app. I don't mean a website. I mean the app on the App Store. I don't know of anything JavaScript that cannot do that another language can. Perhaps it can do it slightly better. And I'm emphasizing slightly on purpose. Maybe I'm wrong with that. But I don't, and I like to have everybody else's opinion because I talk this way.
Just the libraries that are written?
Nowadays it's the ecosystem.
I feel like that.
I mean, it used to be that C++, it's big difference from Fortran, it's big difference from Prolog, different domains, right? Nowadays, the languages are all general purpose, but it's the libraries and the ecosystem that's there that makes a difference, right? How productive are you?
And some of the languages that have been around for a while have taken it out of the library area and made it incorporated into the language.
Yes.
I came into Python because I was doing natural language processing. And the way regular expressions work in Python is a whole lot easier than it is in I could write it in Java. I could write it in C if I had to. But the amount of time it would take me to write it in C, or the amount of time it would take me to write it in Java, assuming that I had these better Java skills than I actually have, but the development time on it is a whole lot longer. You were talking about Oracle before. A lot of people are really good at SQL. Look, anybody that had a Microsoft Access database knew how to do stuff in SQL. They just didn't know that was what it was because Microsoft called it Access and gave it a pretty graphic user interface. But if you got deep into the weeds, you could actually write SQL programming. When somebody wants somebody that's got Oracle experience, that's a big shop because Oracle doesn't really do small kinds of things. You're almost getting into the range of mega data. So they're looking, more for that broad, that specific big data experience. That's not quite the same as knowing how to write a SQL program. So each of these things are kind of specific to what somebody is looking for in their shop. If you've got a small shop, you gotta have 3 people that know how to do 7 things. If you have a huge organization, you gotta have 70 people that know how to do 50 things. And those are 2 really different scenarios.
Right. There's thank you. There's spots here, guys, or look around, and there's one of these chairs. Yes, sir.
I just have one comment about the languages. In my career, I've headed up quite a few projects, and so I've always interviewed quite a few developers, and what's very uncomfortable is see a resume that has every single language on it that I could possibly imagine.
And why?
On a resume, looking for, let's say I'm looking for a C# programmer, and I get this resume that has C# on it, but it has every other conceivable language in the world, but in the resume, no real emphasis on how good you are in C.
So is it a master of none kind of situation?
Yeah, and I see that so often, and my advice to people is, languages are complex, and how to use them, and if you pick a language and become extremely proficient at it, not at the expense of other languages, but walk into a job and say, I know my JavaScript, I know my Java. Be good at one. Don't try to be too hungry to consume everything. I think that'll serve, because most of those languages on the list will be around for quite a while.
Yes.
So
they have been around. Absolutely, no question about it. Yes, sir.
In regard to what he's saying, what I've found in the last few years is that it's hard to just say I'm a Java programmer. Even as a web developer, even if you go to accept a full stack, I mean, you could know how to write SQL and retrieve data from an existing database, but are you expected to also be a DBA and also, lay out the database model and be normalization? You have to know all that. I mean, everyone, like you said, every aspect, you could just make a career as a DBA, but can you find a job just as a DBA, or do you have to?
Well, it's an excellent question, and that's what I wanted to hear from you guys, because I can tell you that, what the jobs I get are usually either, sometimes they're developer managers, but usually it's architect. And there I am asked to do that. And only because of the fact that database administrators seem to be what you were mentioning, seems to be the big shop thing, even though they shouldn't be. It can make a system slow or fast, and just based upon that. I've walked into a company down in Miami, in Doral. Believe it or not, I used to drive there every single day. And I walked in, and it was a workflow system. This is 100% of the companies out there. It's a list here, and you work on the list by clicking on it, going to the details, working it, and doing whatever your job is, and then clicking on save and going to the next one. Every single page took 5 minutes. When I left 3 months later, nothing took over 3 seconds, and it was mainly my re-architecting of the database. So, and I'm not a database administrator. So the database administrator must have been able to, that's what we all think, must have been able to revolutionize that. Get that from 3 seconds to 2. You know what I mean? So, thank you. Appreciate that.
It's a problem.
It's a comedian, he needs some jokes.
It's a big responsibility to get the database right, because you have performance issues and growth issues and so many things. So you need someone who has a lot of knowledge just in that one area.
Yes. And I feel that that's going to be something, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Let me just sort of skip towards that. Don't ever feel that, with that in mind, if you guys don't mind, we'll definitely continue the subject, but I wanted to showcase what we're talking about right now. This is BS, right? That's just numbers I pull out of my behind, 0 to 2, you're going to be considered a junior programmer. Now, here's the important thing, probably with any particular language. So I have 0 to 2 In Node, well, that's different because Node is fairly new, and you know what I mean. So there's caveats to that, and they mean overall, right? If you have a lot of experience, like you have 10 years experience in something, you might just sort of jump into mid-level because you know the basics, and we'll dive into, because I think that's important, what it is to be a programmer, how to get the solutions, how to do that. And the difference in senior will be that you need to architect some things. You're not there to know all of it, but you're there to know the big picture and make the big decisions. And that's the only difference between what you're going to do. Most of the time, you'll be known as a mid-level programmer for a long time, a ridiculously long time, as you see from this chart, which again, pulled it out of my ass. So just, you know, it's just an idea. And so, you know, there are certain caveats to that.
And there's nothing wrong with being a mid-level programmer if you really want to specialize just in JavaScript or in HTML. And you don't want to be an architect. There's nothing wrong with being.
Well, I didn't mean mid, like as opposed to front end, or I meant mid in the number of years.
Yeah, no, I mean, I meant that also. Like, if you want to specialize, like he says, these resumes come in with 20 different things on it. Now you're moving into an architect. But if you're just happy doing one or two things and being an expert at those two things, there's nothing wrong with that either.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
I had to qualify. That resume comes from people a year out of college.
Right. So they've played with everything. Excellent. So good point. So they're junior at all the things they're talking about, or at least that would be the perception.
You know, the other side of this is, I would tell you that, you know, like I said, with 50 years of programming experience and a lot of languages, I probably would say I was senior on some of these things. In a lot of other ways, I'm technologically obsolete. All of these languages have a limited life cycle. Even JavaScript, when you go through it, and now we've got to have Babel in order to translate from 6 down to 5 because the browsers don't support 6 yet. So whatever your experience is, it's not going to be relevant in 6 months or 9 months or a year. I started to learn JavaScript, and all of a sudden somebody says, well, now you don't use JavaScript, you got to use Bootstrap, because that's a much more efficient way of writing this kind of code. I said, Bootstrap, I don't want to learn another language. I'm still struggling to learn what JavaScript.
Okay, well, that's a different subject, and we can go into that. Don't get scared. So I've been a web developer since 1997, and back then it was 2 books that I had to learn, and those were the only 2 books you had, because right at that moment Netscape was maybe a year or 2 old, if I got that numbers right. So it wasn't ridiculous to learn everything from the 2 books I had that was plopped down in front of me saying, okay, make us a website. And things have changed when it comes to the web, as opposed to as opposed to mobile development or back-end only development. There's a lot of things you have to learn, and what you talked about confuses people.
Well, and I'll tell you, I was working on a project. Somebody said, gee, have you thought of turning that into an app? And I said, an app? What's an app? You know.
Interesting. Yeah.
So I started looking into it and found out that there was an app, and I looked at it and I said, why is anybody doing this? Why don't they just do a mobile browser? Kind of a thing. And now other people have figured that same question out, and they're looking at things like what's called progressive web applications that are replacing it. And one of the things that I think is going to drive it is the loss of net neutrality. Because what's going to happen is you're going to have a way of dealing with call it latency problems in the internet.
Okay.
Because that's going to get a whole lot worse. You start going over things like service worker and JavaScript.
Well, let's not go too much into detail. Let's keep it up to. I understand. So the problem is.
But that's something that fits in a browser environment, and all of a sudden, all the stuff that people have been doing in Android now are not going to work as efficiently in a system that has extremely high latency. Not if it's an interactive system. So you're going to have systems that can accommodate that. And all I'm saying is, it is such a rapidly changing environment that the milestone is how quickly you are able to adapt to a changing environment, rather than how long you've been in a particular job. Kids coming out of school are much better qualified than I am.
Okay.
And I've been doing this stuff for a long time.
We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about how to learn and what to learn in just a minute. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. And unless you guys want to talk about that, you know, what are the different ways of learning things like that? I think I did want to make this flexible. I just don't have slides next to each other as, you know, we choose in here. Any other comments on different languages or mid-level, high-end? I appreciate the comments. I keep doing this. I took a bunch of courses. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm an introvert. Right. So as an extrovert, I have to count to 20 when I ask a question. So does anybody have any other comments on languages? Yes, sir.
On the whole, like, seniority,
Yes, tell me.
I think one of the things that matter also in that scope is not only a number of years, but as you become like intermediate to more senior, like if you really want to take on the job of mentoring other junior engineers, that is, I think, one of the most important things, or one of the bigger things that you can do in order to advance your own career, and I guess help your company advance, kind of like level up all the junior engineers. So I think a big trait of senior engineers, or beyond that, is that they mentor, right? They're servant leaders. They mentor the engineers, getting there or advancing their skill set. So.
Excellent. So let's go continue on that. So definitely the best way to know something is to be able to teach it. Exactly. Otherwise you don't really know it. And not only is it important for you to share something, also be aware that if the brand new developer that just joined is a senior one, and you consider yourself junior or senior or mid-level and not that level, just remember, you know the system. And that's something you can share. And that's something that no matter how many years I point up here and I tell you and you've verified, there's no way for me to know what you know about the system you're working on. I love this image. This has nothing to do with project managers, but this is a way to talk about the different types of jobs there are out there, and perhaps that's a subject that might be interesting. As you can tell, I am a developer, but I am this guy. Right? He is not still. He is moving, and you'll see it in just a second. There you go. It wasn't a still image of him while the other guy's talking, but a lot of meetings happen like this. And again, the training I had was you never have to ask an extrovert questions. Do they feel like they have any questions? No, you've heard them already. If they stop talking, they don't have any more questions or comments. But an introvert, you want to make sure that you ask them specifically, and there's some great insights in there. So that's not what the slide's about. Sorry, I just got off. So talk to me. Let's talk. You guys know what a front-end developer? You guys know what a back-end developer is? How many people consider themselves back-end developers or want to go into the back-end development business? Okay. Have you said this out loud to anybody? Oh, front-end. Oh, I don't do that. It's all ugly web pages, right? It sounds like what everybody else says, and that's not true. The same thing with the front-end developers. It's not that, oh, it's magic to them in the back-end. They don't understand. That's not true. They understand that just fine, and you guys can definitely do each other's jobs and be able to share information. I am, like this gentleman, a full-stack developer. I did re-architected that particular financial company's back-end server, as in the SQL. I did re-architect their back-end server, as in the software. I did redesign their one page, but by the time the old system was instant, like in 3 seconds, they didn't want the new system. But so and we'll talk about this, I'm pushed sometimes when I'm joining a team that's where everybody's a full stack, everybody kind of knows each other. I end up going to the front end because a lot of times there's less because of that statement you guys made, which is I'm a back-end developer. I don't understand these graphics, right? Well, you have these amazing graphic artists that are like match. Do you think you said you were a web designer, right? That's how I started as well. I literally came to this country as a web designer with the JavaScript was the only language I knew. Literally, Node didn't exist back then. This is how old I am. So, do you feel like it's magic back there, or?
For me, right now, it's like maybe a little bit.
Okay.
But I understand the JavaScript a little bit, and so I kind of started learning a little bit of Node. So at this point, it is a little bit of magic, but
Once you learn that
I have a
node.
little bit of an understanding of, I'm not completely lost with it, but I kind of have a little understanding.
Perfect. So if you guys don't know it, Node is just JavaScript on the back end, and it's just magic. When it was presented, it blew everybody away, and nobody was thinking that this language could really live on the back end, and it lives on the back end quite well.
Black magic.
It is black magic, absolutely. And if you've ever been to Walmart, Netflix, it's JavaScript running in the back end. So it's pretty.
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Now, Node is new to me because I've been out of the industry for a while. But when I first got my hands on JavaScript, it was back end. It was server side JavaScript and it was running on the Netscape Enterprise server. So how does that differ from what's going on today?
It doesn't. When you said it, when I first heard you say it, I was really blown away, because when the guy presented this, it was the Google, what do they call it? Their JavaScript engine had. Yes, but they had a yeah. You're right. That's what they called it. Okay. So that's fine. Thank you. When they called it, it just seemed revolutionary. So are you sure that it wasn't C++ on the enterprise?
No.
Landscape enterprise? It was JavaScript.
It was server-side JavaScript.
Okay. Not Java.
Not Java.
Okay. Because okay. When I had to do things in the past, I'm showing my age. We actually had to have Java on the back end and Java applets on the front end. Think Flash, but with less security. Or there was Perl. That was
Perl, right? There was some Perl script going on too.
Well, this has been something new. So this is something where you might know about it, but you might have seen it already. But the important thing is that on the back end, it's JavaScript, and it's the same JavaScript as you know. Now, like everything else, there's a whole library behind it. There's a whole way of thinking about it. There's still the thought that you are JavaScript, but you're on the back end. There's no DOM. There's no input fields that you're talking about. And so, just be aware of it.
Quick
Yes.
question, David. I think I heard once that the Google engine actually compiles the JavaScript to
Node is compiled, yes.
Lower level language to get the speed.
It is. So similar to C# and ASP, the ASPX pages are technically compiled, even though you're looking at the source code and you're like, where's the compilation? There's a DLL sitting there, and it is that way. It is dynamically, and then the system knows when the file is being changed. Well, you let the system know because you're running it in Node or through an activated wizard or some more kind of way of doing this. So it is 100%. It's living. It's not interpolated as the line goes in there. If there's a problem at the bottom, the moment you start running that code, it tells you that's the problem. So it's concerned.
Some of those decisions are economic, because if it costs you more to run it on the server side than it does to your client to run it on their laptop, you're better off porting it and having them do the processing on the laptop.
If the business logic makes sense to do that, right?
Today you can do that because the laptops are monsters, whereas they weren't always monsters.
Absolutely.
So you had to do stuff you had no choice but to do it on the server side.
Yes. But even though JavaScript is running on both sides, they are two separate JavaScripts that don't have any knowledge of each other, and they're communicating with each other the same way you're thinking PHP or Ruby or whatever, or Python works. I mean, it is separate from each other, and you should think about the fact that there are, I'm now getting involved with Ethereum, which is Bitcoin, blah, 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 and so in that we have to think about which runs where and all that. So not always can you just grab the most important business logic that you want no one to see on the front end, which everybody can see. Just be aware of that. There's some considerations about it, but you have absolute idea. And that is where, if you guys heard React or Angular, that's the beauty of it. They look so responsive, so fast, so much like an app, so much like a thing that's running on your computer, because it's doing a lot of things without ever hitting the server, except for one request or another one. So that's important.
One question, we might be off course here, but do these frameworks support object relational mapping like Node.js?
Say it again.
Does like Node.js, does that support object relational mapping?
Like ORMs?
Yeah.
Yes.
It does?
Yes, and there's a library specifically for that. Many libraries.
Is that built into Node.js?
No.
Or is that, it's a separate thing?
No, that's, I don't know if you guys are interested about it. I had this question. Node sounds like it knows the web, and it has no clue about it. It has a library that knows the web, Happy or Express. There's a library for ORM. It's not built in. Okay. What's built in is JavaScript, and the core JavaScript. There's not much built into it other than core functionality. So if you need to do something specific, it's a library that's out.
What's it called? Just out of curiosity.
I don't remember what the ORM that we're using is.
I didn't mean to get off track. I was just
Yeah. So if you guys know, I mean, it's the important thing. If you guys are interested in Node, is that it does things to this magic thing that it does through other libraries.
So it's a full Java replacement, pretty much. It sounds like.
Yeah.
That's pretty powerful.
Yes.
Can these libraries be written in other languages, like a C#?
Of course. Yes, and they are.
Okay. Oh, okay.
They are, right? So there is Entity Framework for C#. There is and Hibernate for Java. I think if I said that right. Right. So these all were.
Compilers that can allow you to take a language and write another language. It's not very efficient, but you can do it.
No, but he's talking about a specific library. You were going to say something.
But if you meant like if you want to target Node,
yes.
I think you can write in C++ native modules for Node that are invocable from a Node, from the language. Other than that, you have to use a language that transpiles to JavaScript and compile it as Node program, right? Right.
Yes.
You're not be able to write a .NET DLL and call it within the process, within Node process. You have to do it out of process.
You can for the same reason, because it is at the end of an application running on the operating system.
Right, but you'd have to use interrupt, process interrupt, right?
Yes.
It would not be a
built-in. You're right. You're right. But there are a lot of languages a lot of libraries for that. A lot of libraries for ORM. There's a lot of libraries for web access. There's all sorts of things and all that. So, for general purpose solutions there are. But yes, if you have your magic business logic sitting on this compiled, built thing that you need to access it, you can, but yes, it's a little bit complicated how to access it in all the different languages. Node. Backend, frontend. Did you guys know? I mean, you guys aware of that there is QA? So QA is everybody know what QA is? Raise your hand if you know what QA is. Okay. So QA. Okay. All right. So QA is essentially the magic department that makes sure your bug your code is working. It's not. Like the famous saying, so a QA person will work with the data, with the programmer, similar to a front-end person will work with the back-end, or the back-end person will work with a database, an administrator. It's the person that helps in the team. The person is there to help you figure out that everything is correctly and ready for production. But they're not there to do the obvious. Like the famous saying, a QA person isn't there to test whether you can order a beer at a bar. They're there to test and order if you can order -1 beer at the bar, or order an apple.
And that your beer actually gets there.
No, that you order 1 beer, it's your job as a developer.
Oh, okay.
You have to program the happy path, but they also do not only the testing, the hard checking, the unusual, the putting the emoji, like the famous thing that's crashing all the iPhones. There was a QA person that missed that, putting that one language in that one character in a language in India that there is probably 170 million people that speak it. How in the world did they not test all the characters in that one language, right?
Because there are a lot of characters.
Not in that. Maybe there's
Oh no, but I mean, if you consider Unicode, there are tens of thousands of characters, and
QA people. That's their job is also to automate things. So to make it so that they can test all 650,000 different characters in the.
Well, apparently it was just the last update that introduced the problem.
Yes.
So it's probably. I mean, QA. You would like your QA to say, I can write a comprehensive test plan, and there will never be anything that slips by.
No.
In practice, you're going to have QA that says, okay, I think these are the things that need to be tested, and if something comes up, it's like, oh, I need a test case for that to make sure that fix actually worked and stuff. Right. So you know, they probably didn't have a test that said, hey, let me enter every single Unicode character that's defined and see if the phone crashes.
You're right, but they will now. they will now, and they'll do it. But you know, your job as a QA person will involve this fun testing, and then if you're good with details, it could be a good choice for you. And it will also involve programming. That's automation, essentially the happy path. You order, you add something to your shopping cart on Amazon, you click on order, you type in the credit card, you press checkout, and you notice that the tracking number appears in your email. That's a happy path. That's the normal procedure, and you will be asked to create programs to do that. So as a QA person, you're not only ordering the -1 beer at the bar, you're checking every single character of the 65 million characters in emojis, but making sure, in Unicode, but making sure that you have also tests for the natural things that will happen. DevOps, if you guys are excited by figuring out the Linux servers or what's happening, that is a good job. It pays pretty well. I didn't find too much details about it. There is project manager, even if you're not like this guy, while the developer's sitting here doing nothing. That's a good job. You'll be responsible for the application. You'll be in charge. You'll be the one that you need to be able to talk to developers and then talk to the business. And be that intermediate in between that shakes both hands. And if you're good at that, and you like that, you'll be in charge, kind of, right? You'll have friends in both and enemies in the other one, right? But it's a very exciting business. You like to manage people, there's development management to do that, and then there's the full stack, full stack is this magical word, but what it means is a combination of these things, right? So and then there's database administrators, people that really dedicate themselves to database, to the storage, to keeping track of it, and that can pay very well as well as other things.
Could you go back to DevOps?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Detail?
I don't have any more details about it, but go ahead. Yes.
So, like, kind of the mission of a DevOps engineer is to facilitate software engineers that whenever they want to deploy an application, right, you need service to deploy it, right? So, what they're there to do is to facilitate deploying that application that you built on your computer to like production servers, right? And that may include like having a development server, deploying the development server, deploying the production server. It may also include like a CI pipeline, so like continuous delivery, so continuous integration and continuous delivery. That's kind of like it's kind of like a process that gets your software and runs tests, like automated tests against it, and runs like metrics to get statistics like cybernetic complexity and whatnot. But so it basically gives you feedback about your software, right? Like if it's ready for production, and it's all in an automated way, and they can make that happen. So whenever you push your code to master, to whatever branch you guys use for production in Git or your source control system, they can get that code, right? They can get that package of code and be like, okay, let's run it through this software that makes sure that the code is right, and then let's deploy it to the service, right? And in this case, in other companies, if you have enough traffic, it can be like 1,000 servers that you need to run your code in so that you can service all this traffic, right? So, and they also monitor the uptime of the system. So if one server goes down, they're responsible for making sure that the server has enough memory, there's enough servers to patch up the servers right whenever all these like security flaws come up. So that's kind of like the job. They're there to kind of like make your life easier and like deploy like developers' applications. Right? So I encourage everybody to definitely dig deep and understand like how your application runs under the hood, right? And understand like Node, and I think that's very beneficial. And understanding what a CI pipeline is and how you can get feedback about your code, right? I think that's very important, and that's one of the things that as you guys like transition from like junior to mid-level or not, it's going to really help you like understanding how you can get like instant feedback about the code that you're writing. So
I agree 100%. You should figure out, you don't have to be an expert in what the other people are doing, but definitely figure out what it is that they're doing. So very well said.
There is a tool called Jenkins, which is very useful for every developer. You can try it yourself, it's free.
I'm sorry, what was the name of the?
Jenkins.
Jenkins is one of that. I think Jenkins is a little like involved. If you want to like initial one of that, it's called Circle CI. Or also GitLab. If you host your code in GitLab, like it has a CI tool built in. And these two are a lot easier. We use Jenkins right now, and it's like, man, it's such a mess. Like, it's so hard to use. Yeah, it's very hard. I can try to come up with this Python pipeline syntax. I don't know, for me it's kind of hard to use.
I mean, the thing about Circle CI and many of the easier ones is that they're hosted, right? They're service.
Which is great.
Right, it's good, but if you're in an on-premises or a private cloud environment,
it's great if you're allowed to have your code leave the building.
Yeah.
If you're not, then you end up, you know, like, so I work at LexisNexis, and we have an open source platform for big data, and it's in GitHub. It's public, everybody can see it. And then anything that we do for internal use is in GitLab because we host GitLab. You know, we host Jenkins. They use Jenkins in the open source, but we use Jenkins to do our builds internally. You know, you can't always go to a hosted provider.
But that's true, yeah. GitLab you can host on premises.
It does have workers, like GitLab, it does have, like the new GitLab implementation, which I love them by the way, they have an implementation of a pipeline that you can write down.
I guess also to differentiate DevOps to like build automation, configuration management, and you know, older practices, the key I think is that the artifacts that do the automation are part of the source code, right? As opposed to before, automation existed. It's just that it was a different set of artifacts, different set of responsibilities. Now you have this idea of, you know, infrastructure as code that you use either Puppet or PowerShell or Ansible or any number of things that is with the code of your application, and you know, as you check, you know, it's in source control, it may have its own tests, you know. And so that becomes a part of the definition of your software as opposed to just some infrastructure that your software runs on.
So for the newer people to understand that, like before, like back in the day, people used to like put a server in a rack and actually log into the server and start writing like, you know, commands in Bash or whatnot, right? In the black screen, start writing commands instead of server. Like nowadays, like he said, there's automation tools where you can have the code that makes that server happen and all it happen in source control, so that like it happens automatically and you can have tests, all that great stuff.
Also, there's maturity levels to this. Some teams that start out not having all of their artifacts as, you know, their infrastructure as code. So it depends on what maturity you are and what level you are, but abilities you have, like, you know, internal versus external, and things like that.
Because mature has never been a word that people have used when they see me. You mean as a team. So definitely, yeah. So the idea, so yeah. So, but we're all talking about a particularly set up a system already where there's a lot of help to get it from your box to the world. Right, that's what we're talking about in that case.
So what would you recommend, I guess this is a question for everyone in the room, as a junior dev or a beginner, which job would be recommended?
Great question. I thought you were going to ask what we recommend.
Dev manager.
The one that's hiring, that's fine, but
what interests you?
Yeah.
Because if you don't like the job, you're gonna hate all the time you spend there. So if it doesn't interest you, it doesn't matter how much they're paying. To a point. But
to be fair, that is his 16-year-old side talking.
I agree.
I don't like it. I'm out of here.
If
no.
I'm applying, and I'm fresh out of boot camp, say, in July, and I'm applying, and I have no idea where to begin.
Okay.
Because I don't know. I mean, maybe by then I will know more about what each one is, and maybe by then I'll know what most interests me.
Right.
But just as a general
I think, yeah. Do you want to say something about that?
Just looking at that list, my thinking would be that entry-level jobs would pretty much be limited to the first two on the...
This list, you mean?
No, go back.
I'm sorry.
As far as front end and back end, would probably be where more of your entry-level jobs.
Microsoft doesn't agree with you. What Microsoft hires is if you're new, they'll put you as either a build developer, which is what he's talking about, or as a QA person first. And the reason why is you get to, especially on a brand new team that you will eventually move into, because the QAs can see on the 10,000 foot level what's happening, what's the app doing. And then you start coding it. So that means you start creating code, programming what the system should do and testing different things. So now you're testing, you're doing a little if then and all that, and different situations with that. So you start learning to get, you know, that programming muscles in there with an application, and you're contributing to the senior guys and the junior guys and the other people. And unfortunately, I didn't say the word guys because that's a common thing. It's usually going to be a lot of men in there. So that should change. Yes, yes, exactly. You know.
Well, yeah, I'll have to disagree with you. Actually,
you see a lot of, tell me.
Yeah, I mean, Microsoft can do that because
Correct.
They have a lot of resources. But if you need someone to do back end and you're willing to hire a junior, then you're just going to hire and have them start right away coding back end.
So are they going to code back end or front end?
Oh, it depends on the job.
Depends on what they do.
Yeah, I've seen both. It's what they want to fill. But if they're willing to take a junior, yeah, they'll just.
The big thing is you shouldn't take a job if you're not comfortable with the technology that they're asking you to use.
Right.
So if you've never done anything on the back end and all you've done is front-end development, and somebody says, well, you want this job, you should know that you're going to go in there and you're going to be miserable because you're going to spend most of your time catching up. Nobody that hires a new person should expect that person to be able to hit the ground running and knowing everything that they need to know. But you have to have the basic, the core skills in that area. And then I would disagree a little bit with you. I would say that the most important thing is finding a group of people with whom you feel comfortable. If you go into a highly charged environment where everybody there is a Stanford CS graduate and you're not able to run with that crowd, no matter how great the job is, no matter how many times they have pizza during the week to give you all the personal time you want, you're not going to be happy there.
I agree. My point about what interests you is that oftentimes when you're interviewing, you don't know what the team is going to be like. You and when you're in there for the interview, not only are you on your best behavior, so are they. So, you come out of the interview thinking, oh yeah, that was, he was cool, she was cool, I think I'd like working with them. And then you actually start working and it's completely different. So at that point, like what you're actually doing.
See, now my experience was different. I went in and I was given jobs that, once I was in the company, I was given jobs that I never thought I would have. I was a scientist when I started working. And I knew more about computers than most of the people because of the stuff that I had done in graduate school.
Right.
And all of a sudden, I started getting jobs within the company in economic modeling and financial design, financial systems. I had no idea that I would do any of those. If anybody had said to me in college, you think you could build a material resource planning system? I would say, what's that? But I went in, I got a job and started working in a lab and solved the problem in a plant because I could take a matrix multiplication and figure out what it cost the plant to run. And it's serendipitous. But the thing that made me like the jobs more than anything else, I liked what I was doing for sure, but I liked the people that I was working with. You get up in the morning and you got to go in.
But if you're looking for your first job, and
or the 100th job.
Well,
yeah, I think you have a good point, valid point.
I know, but if you're looking for your first job, and you're just going in and saying, well, okay, here's an opening, what am I interested in? That's where I'm coming from. I mean, when you're in a job and they say, hey, can you do this? Yeah, you can. It's a little bit different once you're already in the.
I guess my point for me, going into a new job, I always came at it with one management training course they sent me to was called Unconscious Incompetence. I knew so little about the job going in that I didn't know how little I knew. And I don't know, you make good choices, you make bad choices, but
So I think you guys are both right. So you don't know the team. The team is very important. What they're doing their job interviewing you. What they're looking more is not do you know the exact thing you're going to be doing, but are you a good fit for the team? And they will choose based upon that. So I agree, it's very important.
Too far out of your comfort zone, for sure.
But I think you have a very valid point, and I've been doing this for, you know, for you guys have all been doing this for a while. You don't know sometimes at the beginning. You just have to see it. I'll give you an example. So between 2013 and 2014, if you literally went to Skype.com, you saw my work. I was, believe it or not, there's 110,000 people at Microsoft. I was the guy who did www.skype.com during those 2 years. It was just me. I don't understand why it's such a small little team, but that was the one that was doing it. In the interview, gentleman from Romania, but I don't know how to do a Romanian accent, so I'll do a Russian one. He came to me and he interviewed me, and oh my God, it looked like I was going to completely fail. I stepped up, wiping my forehead, and there's a lot of sweat coming out of this, you know, there's a lot of places for it. Oh my God, I'm coming in, I'm stepping to the car, I get a phone call from the recruiter, it says, you're in. And I was like, oh my God, I must have. The last two guys, again, probably guys, and that should change, probably died 2 minutes ago because there's no way they chose me with that many failures and the things that I've done on there. I stepped in, worried about everything, and a month and a half later, this gentleman that was very cold, very calculated, very mathematic, said, you know, Damian, sorry, again, I don't know how to do a Romanian accent, you know, Damian, at your interview, really, how do you say, blew my head away. You know, he probably said something like that. Exactly. He was like, really impressed me by my skills. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? They were impressed by my skills, and I thought I completely blew it. So, number one thing, let's get to this before we finish this meeting. Some skills. What you feel at the interview, not always true. Definitely try to find out if you fit the team. Try to figure that out. And sometimes you won't. But just be aware of it. They're not always going to give you those hints. They're in the best behaviors, and sometimes they're asking you questions like we did, I don't know if you guys were here at the beginning, or a couple of earlier ones, I showed a little video, where sometimes you're like, you're going to be asking questions, and I did have this. When I was we moved to California, eventually ended up at Skype, I had someone go to me and says, okay, there's two types of indexes, so the database people here will know what I'm talking about. What they are on a regular Microsoft server, SQL Server. So it's index and clustered index. And he goes to me, what's the difference? And I'm like, I don't know. And he goes, well, a clustered index, and describe both of them. And I went to him, the asshole I am, I guess, and said, have you ever used the clustered index? Because the regular one is regular one. The other one, the unusual is clustered. And he goes, no. And I'm like, did you just ask me a question that you, being here for 5 years, have never used in your life? What do you get from that? Okay. The truth out of that, don't worry about, you know, I mean, here's some barely things about it. How's that? Let's get to that. And I want to hear your opinions, what have you been gone to. No matter if you're new or old, you have interviewed somewhere for different things. I want to hear a little bit about it. So be there early. So try to be there 5-10 minutes early. Don't be on time. This isn't, you know, this isn't Germany. You don't have to be precisely on time. And this isn't Argentina. You shouldn't be late, right? But not too early. Don't show up half an hour going, I'm here to see Mr. Thompson. Mr. Thompson probably is waiting for the last minute to interview you. Learn about the company. Don't go overboard. Know the basics about it. I've had the conversation where they go, do you know about the company? And I'm like, no, I don't. I've already gotten -1 in my total score. Right? You know a little bit about it. You don't have to have the exact details. In 1977, the company went, no. Just know what the company does, more or less what you'll be doing. The recruiter or the HR person will let you know about it. Just get the basics of what the company does overall. Be prepared. In other words, just Google, YouTube, whatever it is you want to search, Snapchat it. I guess that doesn't work. I'm trying to get those, you know, young kids. Try to figure out a little bit about, like, you know, common questions for what you're going to interview. Programmer questions, C# questions. You're going to do Java, overall questions. Don't have to know them precisely as they go. Just get the overall idea. I have been in interviews where they're saying, you know, they say, what about this? And I'm like, I don't know the textbook answer. That was a great thing, because they were like, no, we don't ask textbook questions. But I gave them the overall idea of what it is and how I've used it. Next slide. ignore mistakes. If you've said something that's a mistake, continue on. Don't worry about it. Just like this presentation, right? With anything in life, you want to continue on. Don't dwell on the past. Don't remind the speaker, the person you're talking to, sorry about that mistake, but unless it's relevant, unless what you say is, I'm trying to correct myself and correct, let's move on. The person will not remember that much that you made a mistake at the beginning about it. Like, for example, when I said, I don't know much about the company. It continued on, and I did get that job. So it was okay. It was a mistake of mine, but move on. Don't speak too much. Well, this guy shouldn't be speaking too much. As you can see, I have that problem. Don't speak too little. I do speak, right? When they ask you questions, don't just say, yep, because they want to know about it. Listen, then relate. This is about the speaking. When they ask you a question, or what is something, try to respond to that, and try to give them an example of how you've used it, or how you're going to be using it, without describing too much. Oh, index, clustered index. I did use it, and this was the situation I used it in. They'll ask questions if they need more actions, but relate. And be the best dressed person in the room.
See, that confuses me
Tell me.
because I've worked with him for a long time.
Yeah.
And I know all his friends, and you guys do not dress up.
Okay, so I can speak to that. I worked for a company where the dress code was no thongs. that was it.
Yeah.
Well, at least no visible thongs.
Mm-hmm.
And
thank God that's not the problem here.
and we had somebody come in for an interview, and he had asked on the phone, you know, what the atmosphere was, and they told him it was casual. So he came dressed casually. And the only thing that anybody who interviewed him talked about afterwards was how disrespectful it was. However, I've gone to interviews, and one of the jobs I did get, where I was told on the phone, do not wear a suit. Do not wear this or that.
Right.
They said, if you just hop out of your pool and come over, that's fine with us. You know, they did not want somebody coming in being the best dressed person.
Right.
And if you don't listen to that, then that's a strike because you didn't listen. So you just have to know the environment. If they don't say anything, be the best dressed. If they tell you not to be the best dressed, don't be the best dressed.
I'd amend that and say maybe best dressed by like 5%. Don't go like tops or anything. Yeah.
No. I mean, I didn't wear a suit, but I had slacks and a
tie.
No tie. But I just had a collared shirt and stuff, and it was fine. It's just, you know, if they're telling you specifically what to wear, what not to wear, then you have to listen to them.
I want to kind of add to that, Bill, but anytime you go for an interview, absolutely you have to be your best dressed, because at the end of the day, they're judging you based off of it. It's horrible and it's crude, but it's true. Even if the company is casually dressed, like you said, your friend at work never dresses up, that's fine, but he already got the job. You see what I'm saying? They're already there. They're already getting paid to be there. If you're going there and you want somebody to pay you for your services, you need to look like $1 million and you need to show that you know and basically sell yourself. If not, somebody's going to come in and have as much knowledge as you, but they're going to dress nicer and they're going to get that job. And it's stupid, but it's true.
But funny story. I've always wanted a suit to wear interview I've gone to, and the day I get a job, the first day, I've never ever worn even slacks. I always wear jeans and a shirt.
Absolutely.
The second day, like not even like I don't give it like a time.
Yeah,
if I get a job, that's it. Once you're there, that's it.
Once you're there, you're good.
But interview, I always
You got to stand out. You got to stand out and look good.
Yeah, but if you're talking to HR and one of the things they bring up is that they're a company that's jeans and shirt or whatever, you know, wear some really nice pressed jeans and shirt.
No,
there you go.
The people that are there already have a job. You're going there for a job.
Right, but I'm saying they're cluing you in as to what their culture is.
Doesn't matter.
I disagree completely.
Doesn't matter. You have to look your best.
Yeah. If they tell you that they're jeans and t-shirt, and you come in with jeans and polo, they, like you were saying, if you come in a suit, They might be like,
It's
this
not
guy doesn't
necessarily
fit.
wearing a suit. I mean, you can wear a nice dress shirt and slacks. If they're casual, you can tone it down. But the point is, you want to present yourself, and you don't want to come in jeans to an interview. Doesn't matter where you're applying, man. Even if you're applying at Best Buy, you're not going to go to your job interview with jeans. That person's going to be looking for a job longer than the person that dresses up. That's what I do, man. I help people get jobs. I mean, it gives you an advantage. As silly as it sounds, it does. It works. Here's the thing. Most of the people that are in charge of hiring are not tech. They're not. They're managers. They're in charge of running people. They don't judge based off of your knowledge. They don't care what you know. On your resume, it says you know this, this, and this. In the meantime, they're looking at how you dress. Were you on time? Do you have questions for them? Did you listen to what they had to say about the company? One of the worst things you can do is when they ask you, do you have any questions? Say, no, I don't have any questions. I got it. Everything's fine. Because when somebody's interviewing and you have questions, oh, this person listened. And then they're picking between a few different people. Everybody's going to be qualified for that position. Otherwise, they wouldn't have called you in. So what's going to make you stand out? How you present yourself and how you interacted with them socially. Those are the two things that are going to say, oh, well, this guy was, you know, he asked questions, he was well presented, here's our guy. Whereas, this guy wore jeans, you know.
Even though they're wearing jeans.
Yeah.
Because they're competing with, like you said. I think just, I mean, I don't think anybody will get not chosen because they came in with a shirt and tie, right? Like what you're wearing right now would look great, right? But in what you're wearing right now, most likely in most places will be fine. But if it's fuck the police, right? You know, well, maybe they're going to be affected by it. I remember I worked at one company that was like, hey, a t-shirt and jeans every single day, even shorts. But they kind of let one particular rule was no text. Logos, pictures, cool, no text. Because they just opened up an area for that. And things change and all that. I think you'll agree. It's not that you want to, you can't get a job if you're not better. You just, I've never heard of someone getting a job because they've been well dressed. They're like, oh, that guy was fantastic, great attitude, great environment, it will work great, but you know, did you see that suit? Please. Right? And I've had friends that say they literally have chosen people based upon what their shoes look like, as in they were clean or not. But that's him, right? And he's in high finance, so maybe that's different. Do you agree? You interview different people.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that I actually did have a job interview like that I got because they're very clear about what their culture was. I'm saying that, yes, you want to do your best, but sometimes you have to take the hints that they give you.
Definitely.
I mean, especially when you're working like for startup culture versus a Microsoft or something.
Right.
They're very, very particular about, like, because they only have a few employees, the culture that they have. So it goes back to, you know, knowing about the company.
And what you said over there, do you fit the team pretty well?
I once had a job interview with DuPont. I was a young guy at the time. I was from New York, and DuPont, of course, is from Delaware. And I walked into this meeting. It was a group interview. It was one of me and 4 or 5 of them. We walked in. Everybody in the room took off their jacket, turned it inside out, and hung it on the back of their chair. So I followed suit. I didn't get the job because my suit was from Brooks Brothers, and they all got their suits from Joseph Banks. And after the interview, I said to the HR guy, I said, what happened is, well, they thought you were too much of a New Yorker, you weren't going to fit with their culture. and that was the thing. Obviously, it's weird, but it's now that it's 40 years later, it's kind of not as painful a story as it used to be. But that kind of stuff happens, and you were saying before about the shoes. You can't do that. I worked on you can't guess this stuff. I worked on Wall Street for a while. All of my suits were custom made. I had custom made shirts. I had fancy suspenders. My company was bought out, and I had to go find another job. That was my wardrobe. I went through a bunch of job interviews where I didn't get the job because everybody thought I wasn't going to be happy with whatever job that they were offering me. If I wasn't being offered a job as chairman of the board, I wasn't going to be happy. So, I mean, that's kind of an odd situation, but you don't want to overdress in that respect. Somebody once told me, you don't dress for the job that you have, you dress for the job that you want. And that's kind of how you have to set your sights. What do you think your boss is going to be wearing?
But if I did that, I would walk in with a pole. That would be a bad job interview.
Yeah, but it's
Naked with a pole.
It's highly uncertain.
Banana hammock.
You don't know going in. You don't know the culture.
picture.
You don't know the people. That's what you're going to find out in the interview. So
Yeah.
I think you're right. You know, you wear something. You wear a basic suit and tie. You can't go wrong. This is Florida. I don't even know where my suits are anymore. I think the last time I wore a suit, it was a funeral. I think the next time I wear a suit, it'll probably be my funeral. But it's different everywhere you go. If you were in New York, suit and tie for an interview is almost a requirement. You go to Palo Alto, no, they wear polo shirts. You gotta do what feels comfortable and not go overboard, and certainly show respect for what you think. That's all.
Before the trip and the slide, I think one point I want to touch on, like, if you really want to get the job, like, the company I work for is hiring, like, I might hear this, but like, the most important, I interview people, like, on a weekly basis, the most important thing is attitude, and that you want to learn. It doesn't matter, first of all, I think, you know, congrats on being here. I think that this is really good, and as my brother, and I'm trying to get him to come here as well to learn, right? But like, when you go to an interview, one thing that was mentioned is like, if you don't know something, not only, you know, say that you don't know, don't try to make up the answer, but be curious about it, right? Ask the interviewer, like, what is the answer? I think I love when I do an interview and somebody's like, hey, like, I don't know it, so what is it, right? I think that shows that they didn't know it's right, but the fact that they want to learn it, right? And it's like, maybe next time if I interview them the next day, they will know everything about it, right? So I think the attitude is probably the number one thing, and that you want to learn. Show the interviewer that not only, especially if you're like starting out, that it's not that you don't know something, it's that you're really eager to learn it, and I think you'll be doing fine.
Some advice that I saw at Code Camp from Tangi, which was, it's a person who normally comes here. She's fantastic, a YouTube superstar, and she learned programming. She's wrote a book. I'll tell you guys about it later. But her advice was, when you're new to development, don't worry about failing in an interview or a job interview, because you need your muscle memory. After a while, you'll find that when you couldn't answer the question, great advice, you'll find either the answer afterwards, or if you can get it from the person in front of you, you can use it next time. So that's that great advice to, you didn't know the answer. I mean, try not to waste your time. They're like, you know, oh, this whole concept. If it's something basic like I had with the clustered index or the regular index, you can just quickly do a quick answer. Oh, they might tell you.
I actually in the job that I have now, I filled that question and I asked the interviewer like all of the answers.
Yeah.
But like, funny story.
Yeah, absolutely.
The same question. No, it was better.
Perfect. Excellent. Guys, as new developers, I find, at least this was my perception from this other person that helped me. Her name is Patty. You just don't know her. That was a new developer, and she realized this when she came in. This is kind of known to the senior developers as we mentor the junior developers. You don't code alone. The famous saying goes that in every single college, not in boot camps, I think you guys might do this separately, but in a lot of universities, especially when I went to university, you did your project from start to end and there was no one else that touched it. Perhaps your friends helped you with it, but as in they came over, they said, look, there's a missing semicolon. It's always a semicolon. And, you know what I mean? That's it. When you work, I've never had a job where my code was never ever touched by somebody else or didn't touch somebody else's code. That everywhere that we work, we usually work with other people. So get to know them. Definitely reach out to the senior people, the mid-level people that know more about what you're working on. Don't worry about harassing them. They should know how to tell you, hey, back off. But you'll see that even if they keep on telling you back off, at one point you'll sort of break the ice and they'll start talking to you about things you need to know. Last thing, this is my choice about it. Learn that when we all code together in the same thing, it would be incredibly complicated for you to give me everything on, we have a bunch of thumb drives. This is a good example. Say, congratulations, I have everybody's finished code this week. Here, oh my God, right? And so we have the software, that sort of merges everything together, puts things, in this case it's Git. If you know it, just this one, there's 3 or 4 other ones, but you know just this one of them, you'll have the basic understanding of different ones. Yes, sir?
What's the best resource to learn Git?
Oh. Oh shit. Git.
Nice. Sweet.
So, you know, there should be a thank you for asking that. That was perfect and all that. So, yeah, literally, oh shit, Git. Sorry, you know, guys. It's fantastic. It will answer. It's essentially a cookbook, right? Crap, I need to get rid of all my stuff because, you know, I don't need it. I need to come back and bring down the code base. What do you do with that? You want to connect with GitHub or other things. There's a lot of different things. Other one will be YouTube and just learn a couple of the basics. You want to learn the basics before you do this, but, you know, it'll be fine. And then, you know, and the most important part is you'll finally get this joke. Git commit, git push, get out. All right. But oh shit, Git is wonderful for that, and I use it all the time. Still, you know, just boilerplate of different things to do. That's it, guys. Do you guys have any other advice you want to give to junior people that you want to tell me what it was like to be a junior person, what you would like to grab a senior person and say, you know.
Can you put it back on the salaries?
Yes, sir. Yep. I didn't even go to that slide. That's what you wanted to see? Well, perfect. This one?
Yeah.
This is just pulled off from the back end. The idea you're supposed to get is you might go and say back-end developers make less and front-end developers make more, but the truth is that it varies from different things. And then the idea was supposed to be, it came really close. And what I wanted to do was actually fiddle around with the sizes so you didn't realize they were going to end up being the same, and I forgot. But, you know, this is not truth, right? This is not, you know, a junior, mid-level, and senior. It's roughly, and every single time I see these calculations, you know, roughly in Florida, people make, and I'm like, I make double that. What are you talking about? There's no way that's an average, right? And maybe an average with the junior people, maybe, but even then, I mean, something's wrong. So what I'm trying to say is front end, back end, there's a whole variety. You guys will be fine choosing either. There's not going to be one that's clearly going to be double what the other one is. They seem to, within a couple of $1,000s, follow along with each other. Right? I mean, there's $4,000. This is a median price, and there's 4,000. Well, in this case, there's 8. Between all the different numbers, it's, you know, whatever, 4% the difference. Yeah.
To add to that, once you get to the tax bracket that the 108 is in, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't, because the taxes are so high that the difference in salary is like not that much. So I wouldn't worry about it.
So you start doing your own corporation, and all of a sudden tax brackets go down. You don't know how to do that. I mean, I'll tell you. Absolutely, that's very important. Any other advice? Anything you want to ask? Yes, yeah, I'm sorry. You did.
Yeah. So as a sort of hobbyist coder, I'm always working alone. So a big question I have, which might be a whole other course, but like how to work in teams, how to use Git, how to like not write code so people kill themselves when they look at it.
So
commenting. Yeah.
Never worry. But one thing I give you advice with the last statement you made. Computers are so fast. There is no right or more optimized way to do it. This is famous. No,
yes, there is.
I'll give you an example where you're wrong. There is one way to do a for loop that simply, if you look at it carefully, looks much faster in JavaScript. And the people that have done the compilers know that, so the non-optimized way is actually faster because they know most people do it.
So I had a problem where I inherited some code, and there was a for loop, and it was calling string length every time in a loop.
In the middle of the for loop, it was checking the length.
It was actually the terminating condition of the for loop.
Okay.
And nobody noticed that there was a problem until one of the documents that was passed through that for loop was 3 megabytes. And all of the servers in the chain were timing out after 3-5 minutes. It took 10 minutes to get through the loop.
Okay. So what he's stating is he's proving my point. Because you're right. The older languages and older compilers really did check the length each and every single time. They were checking. I'm doing this. Have we gotten to the end? I'm doing this. Have we gotten to the end? I'm doing this. And what he's saying was each time they were calculating. And so each time you got this very expensive calculations. In JavaScript, you can do that and there'll be no difference between the for loops. Because they know that. So they calculate only once. In JavaScript, that works that way. And a lot of different developers and compilers have improved upon it. Here's my main point. Now that there isn't a more optimized way, there is. And most of the time, it won't be dramatic like his example he's doing it. In JavaScript, that would not be an example. In other languages, it would. The most important thing is that if I understand it and you understand it, then he will probably understand it. If it takes a magician to look at it and realize what's going on, you are affecting yourself. Because you'll have to get back in that mindset when you come back and you'll be like, oh, what was I doing? Because remember, like the old saying, be careful because there might be a psychopath, the next person who looks at your code. No, it won't. It'll be worse. It'll be you.
Yeah.
3 months later when you don't remember what it is that you did there. So A, comment. B, make sure it's easy to read. I'm not saying don't optimize. But concentrate on the computers are so fast, the compilers are now intelligent enough to fix common errors like exactly the one your example. In JavaScript it's been fixed. Each and every single time because they know that this happens. So if you can make it easy to read, that's more valuable to the team and to yourself in the future. And to the people that are going to ask you to change it later. Because everything gets changed eventually. Is that fair? Yes, sir. No, that's what I was here about.
Developers spend most of the time by far reading code, right? So in a big company, you can imagine people getting paid $100,000 a year. If you make the code hard to read, one, you introduce a lot more bugs. Two, like developers take way longer to do something, so it actually impacts the bottom line a lot more than making something a millisecond faster. So in our company, for example, we have a policy where like not a policy, but kind of a guideline that you write code for the developer that comes after you, not for yourself, right? So, or for you in 6 months. So definitely make like after you make the thing work, right? Like you know you go your thing and it works. Like definitely spend some time going back at it and like seeing how you can refactor that so it can be more readable. That's always worth it. And you yourselves will see how. Even in Git, right? If you use Git, you can look at your diff, and then you can see like how you can read into it, like as if you were somebody else. Like how can you make that more readable? I think that's extremely really important. If you want to get more into it, I know I've read some books that help. There's Clean Code by Montero.
Magic.
A classic. Definitely, if you're the book reader, that's a great book to read. Other than that, I think it gets once you get into that space, like it gets very kind of in depth. But it's definitely worth just looking back at your code and seeing how you can make it more readable.
I think two things that oftentimes best practices are helped along by using some sort of forcing function to help you follow it. Because one thing is to say, a forcing function, basically something that makes you do something, right? Not a technical thing. So basically. Having good commit messages. So when you're starting to work on something, create a feature branch in Git, and then try to focus your scope of the changes just on that feature or on that bug fix. What that does is it helps you develop a sense of change control that can allow you to communicate what are the changes that your software has in this release cycle or in this iteration. Oftentimes that's something that junior developers struggle with a lot, and they can't communicate what changed, what's different. So that's one thing, and this is one thing that maybe working in open source projects, like contributing to open source projects, can help you with. And then another thing is logging. A lot of people talk about testing. But one thing that people, that is sort of a lost art, but can help a lot, is figuring out how to add good log statements in your code that communicate what is the progress of the computation or what is the state at a certain point. Anything that will help you if you're in Java or .NET, you probably live and die by your debugger. But what you find is that on very rare cases, unless you're using some fancy tooling that you're paying tens of thousands of dollars for, you don't have that debug in production. So when something's going wrong in production, how do you know? It's not great for the customer to just tell you it crashed or it's slow or something. You have to have some sort of instrumentation. And it's a skill figuring out where you put those log statements and what they say that you need to develop that lets you quickly determine, okay, I know what's going on and I know where to look and I know how to fix it. And each of those things you find will start to change how you structure your code oftentimes. And so those are good heuristics that will sort of create a feedback loop in how you construct your program that are good to adopt. But the thing is, they're not as evident when you're programming for yourself or by yourself. Right.
Until you have to come back 3 months later and do the same code and go, why the hell did I do this?
Yeah, exactly.
So, great advice. Thank you. With that in mind, I would suggest that your comments sometimes say why, not what. I can tell it's a for loop. You don't have to explain to me. But tell me why I'm counting the number of cars, perhaps, if it's not obvious. This is the example he was referring to. He's absolutely right. Each and every single time we go in this for loop, I'm checking whether the length of the car has changed. It's not. But I'm checking whether this is less than the length of the car. So each and every single time, I would do a very computational, expensive request. You were absolutely right. In JavaScript, this unoptimized way, because every single example you see this. Instead of me grabbing a variable up here and just simply saying, that's never going to change, just make it to a variable. And just change, since this is going to change, check that. That's how you solve it, right? And that would be perfect, and that would work in JavaScript. But in JavaScript, the for loop has actually gotten itself, it understands. So it's immutable in the sense, well, not really. It's just saving that, that's the wrong word, saving that particular value. So it's not really actually checking each and every single time. And it knows whether the variable is changing, in which case it should be checking. It will figure that out. Essentially, it's listening for you. So if it changes, then it won't check that variable is correct.
I think a rule of thumb that I forget who told me, it basically write the code to make it work, and then if something isn't performing fast enough, you optimize it. You don't optimize it from the beginning, because where you think you're going to be spending all of your time usually doesn't matter in the end. It's like, oh, well, this took 100 milliseconds. Okay, and how quickly was the user actually able to do something? Did it really matter to them? No. Oh, this took 10 minutes. Yeah, that probably mattered.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great. Guys, we're pretty much done. I'll let you guys know that on the meetup page there was the slide. I'd like for you. Whoa. Oh, cool. That was listed a second ago. I would like to suggest that you go into the slide, look at it. The last slide in there was one with free hosting. So if you're ready to get your product out there, if you want to put a portfolio out there, if you want to showcase, if you want to test something, there's a lot of resources called loading. Let's escape that. You'll see it in there. You can get Azure hosting, $200 to start. That should be enough for a whole year. If not, you can get $25 per year. That's enough for about several different web pages hosted for you. Node, PHP, Ruby, whatever, Python, whatever you'd like. Heroku, Now.sh will host your Node and front-end applications for free. Surge will do it for free and give you SSL certificate. So if that's something you're going to think about, that's in there. Don't worry, it'll be on the code. Cloud.cost, one-time fee. We checked out. Now they charge you one time per year, but I literally pay them something, and I get a Linux server for free for life. One time. This is the magic one. GoMix.com. If you're a Node front-end person, they'll give you your IDE, where you type, your file manager, all the different files you have, a back-end, a front-end, all accessible from your page, and available to the world. So you can showcase your work, you can send it out to everybody. You can send it to me and I'll fix the problems you have and send it back to you. It's magic. GoMix.com. Check it out. It's just fascinating stuff. All this stuff will be in the slides. Guys, thank you. Let me know, please reach out, go to meetup.com/BocaJS. The right-hand side, no matter which version of Meetup you have, will be my name. Click on it, send me a message. Tell me if you liked it, tell me if you thought it was basic, tell me what was exciting, tell me if you wanted to speak more. I'll shut up. Thank you, guys. See you next time.
So who's doing Skype now? Who's doing Skype.com now?
So there's I don't know if he's still there, but somebody supported something.
So you were there before Microsoft?
No, after. I think they bought it in 2002, 2010.
Damian.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm Sarah.
Hi, Sarah. How you doing?
It's the first time here.
Great. So we have meetings. Meetings in the first few days of the month, and we're thinking about doing the third tier. So did you like it that it was junior? It was boring? Was it?
I'm actually in senior engineer, like 7 years experience.
Is JavaScript the same as Visual?
So JavaScript is not familiar to me. So
did you leave out over there?
I guess it's
programming the same?
Oh yeah. It's programming the same, yes. And what we say is, I guess it's the same in Europe. I'm looking for doing my first work. Web project.
I don't, but I have a group that I run, that I help run, as an organizer that yes. So reach out to me, and we'll let you know if it's workshops. He does have 8-hour workshops on Saturdays, there's both everything that JavaScript. Yes. So, yeah, I think he wants you to know a little bit of intermediate. The basic stuff, you were in there, right? You've worked for 7 years, whatever language you use.
Yeah, but it's JavaScript, so it's fresh.
There's differences, and he can jump into those differences because he doesn't have to explain you what a code is. And when you're very good advice. So when he I know. So he always breaks my ball. He's very good advice. I appreciate the fact that he's that's very good. But you won't have to explain the basics. You're like me. So you're mid-level. But reach out. I'll tell you, his name is Jeremy, and he runs the meetup up there. And no, it's up in the West Palm Beach, so about half an hour north.
Because I'm counting for the
okay. It's monthly. Reach out to me. I'll send you about the Node Meetup group, which is going to be having a lot more JavaScript talking about that.
Now, if you get really lucky in the interview, I had an interview with Panasonic Automotive.
Yes.
Hiring manager starts off with, do you have any questions before we get started?
Really?
I asked one question. Well, it was a complex question. It was the entire interview. His answer was the entire interview. He's like, we don't have time. We're out of time.
Really?
Yeah. And I got the job.
That's amazing. That's amazing. But you didn't ask him something like, from the beginning of time, what did you guys do?
No. I had recently been working for Samsung as a contractor. And I said, the way they described the environment and what I found the environment to be were two totally different things. And it was, Korean headquarters versus the U.S. subsidiary, and the interactions, where they said, oh, we do all of this advanced research and stuff. Well, Korean headquarters, their plan was, they come up with the idea, and we ship it off to India or Brazil as fast as we can, because it's too expensive to do it in the U.S. So in the U.S., they're like, we have to come up with some hook that they can't, that keeps it here. And I said, so now here I am interviewing with U.S. subsidiary of a Japanese company, you know, which has, you know, and the Japanese companies have, you know, have similar reputations. And, you know, so how is it? And that was the entire interview.
Well, I mean, compared to that gentleman, and I agree with that, I think you agree with too, if you fit into the team, that's sometimes more important than skills, because I can teach you. If you just don't fit, you just don't fit. Yeah, it's just going to be, you know, you want to be the one that talks, and the other person wants to be the one that talks, and because of the match, or you don't. It makes sense for you guys. Obviously, you guys, so obviously you got the right job.
Well, I didn't take the job, but I got the offer.
Great.
That's all that matters.
You're right. Yeah, absolutely right. So, it makes sense. I'm telling you, I mean, sometimes you want to interview like, what it's like. Does it fit? Does it work out?
Yeah, thanks again. The only thing I wanted to talk about was, I mean, it's great having all these other developers talk about experiences, but when it came to like the interview, I think it was like more based on actually like while you're in the interview rather than actually getting the interview, which I think is the most important part. Because for someone like me, it's like I work at I don't know, you ever heard of Montero? Okay, never mind. It's a startup, but I mean, I don't have any experience.
It's around?
Oh yeah, it's a tech runway. Do you know the FAU Tech Runway?
You know,
one of the companies sponsored.
I think the name sounds familiar, and now that you said Tech Runway, the name is very familiar.
Right, Dan Kane's been mentoring us a little bit.
Okay.
But again, back to the issue.
Getting the
yeah, I think that's probably the hardest part. Getting past recruiters.
Well, the answer is resume. That's the only one that they see from you. They don't see a picture. Right. You're looking like you. Maybe you want interviews, but luckily they don't see a face.
I mean, I've been trying to like make my portfolio, and often that kind of pushes me ahead, but it's still a struggle.
What I can tell you is this one. Let me see where it is. So it won't be revolutionary. What I'm looking for is what's called LinkedIn, and it's not what you think. It's a resume creator.
Oh, I use one too.
Okay.
I use the Visual CV. I don't know if you heard of that one.
Visual CV. That's
Visual Resume CV.
Really?
It says Visual CV.
Okay.
Like
that's fine. So it's like open CV. Anyways, these guys, what they do is they have a lot of little templates, and you choose your colors, and you choose different things. And I think what they're doing is, if you've created a good, comfortable LinkedIn profile that you like, it has all your work, as far as all your projects, as far as all your likes, as far as all your things, that it creates it into a good-looking website that will right away be there. I have, I'll show you mine, and whatever that helps with. I think we got to get out here in just a minute, but I'll get down to it. So the only thing I would tell you is here, you can see mine, and what I go straight into, the only thing I would take is straight into like a quick detail. It's more than just, I would like to work for you because you are a really nice guy. I concentrate on this, and a lot of people have just said that. You know, the number of years on this, number of years of that, the number of years of this. You know, highlight words that people like, agile, years.net. And then right away, there's technical details right away. It's not taking up all the page, so it's not like they're kind of ignoring it. There is what I'm working at right now. So, for example, you know, but it's a lot of people have pointed at it and said, okay, thank goodness for having that, because especially on an interview, they have it right there. And the people that are just doing quick analysis, they're looking for that mobile app. They're looking for HTML5, stupid stuff like HTML5. Who would list HTML5? That's stupid. But people are just going Control F sometimes, and so that will come up there. JavaScript's coming up there, right? The different Git repositories, different types of things, and all that. Different versions of things. So sometimes they go crazy, right? Well, Angular, there's a reason for that, but you know, MVC, and you're like, who cares? So that's what I would suggest. So have a quick summary, and more importantly, have number of years up here with some highlights, and technology up here that can go, that a recruiter that has no clue can go Control F and find something that's obviously fit for you.
Right. I mean, I do have like a core competency section where I have like the technology, but I think I'll definitely add something to the summer because it's not.
This is not what nobody's ever talked to me about. This I put some basic things about it. What they've talked about is the years of experience and things like that. They see that and they literally have jumped about it. I mean, and it's a great piece of paper to have them in front of them when they're talking to you. Because sometimes people are like, I got 5 minutes. There's a guy coming in. Okay, give me a second. Oh, 16 years of experience. Cool, I got that. Right, and they can start the conversation and they can ask you questions. Because that's what you want. Right, so I have a feeling this is the reason why we have it.
I mean, the only bad thing is that like I have my website hosted on GitHub Pages, and the only thing is that I don't see people going to my portfolio.
That's okay. That's okay. Don't worry about that because that sometimes they might there go once you print it,
or at least like for days on end, it's just like I'm the only unique user.
Well, that's okay. That's okay because normally they won't do it unless you're there. They open up your resume already, and then they happen to find that link and went to it. That's unusual. No one's going to stumble upon it by mistake, even on GitHub Pages. It's still a beautiful Walmart, but in the middle of the desert. No one knows that it's there.
I just send them to my customers. The custom domain goes to GitHub Pages.
What's the domain?
It's brandonking.io. So that's
nice.
That doesn't always work as well as I hope it to, but
it looks perfect. Excellent.
This was Fractal. You know Fractal?
Yes.
They had me do some tests.
Nice.
It didn't seem like it's going to work out, but I expanded on it a little bit. But I mean, I've been trying to kind of focus on my portfolio. It's not amazing. I'm trying to learn a little bit of PHP just to be dangerous and get so I can make real applications. But it's been a struggle. I mean, I'm only. It was like December 22nd. I made my portfolio and I started putting my projects up. But
well, this looks great.
I'm still working on it.
This looks fantastic. This looks fantastic.
But it's sorry, pick up your time.
No. It's that. I can sit down there for an hour, but I probably have to get going. Let me just.